field. Service stations may be closed for several days. Be sure you store some drinking water. Your town's water supply may be contaminated by flooding. Secure outdoor objects that might be blown away. Leave mobile homes for more substantial shelter. If instructed, evacuate low-lying areas that may be swept by tidal flooding. Remember, 90% of all hurricane deaths are due to drowning. This hurricane safety tip brought to you courtesy of the Weather Channel.
Green are where the heaviest rains are. Let's put this into motion, change the color a little bit, and show you the eye of the hurricane. That's the eye, the quiet spots right there moving up toward the northwest. A beeline on Charleston. Heavy bands of rain and heavy thunderstorms, too, and winds gusting over hurricane force now being reported in some stations along the coast of South Carolina. Torrential rainfalls and flooding, a likely scenario with this hurricane. Let's go ahead and show you another satellite perspective. It just goes a little farther west toward Athens, Georgia, down into and west of Savannah. Some heavy rainfall there. Spotty showers up to the north. You to show you the convection, the showers and thunderstorms continuing now with Hurricane Hugo. Quite a massive cloud cover here. Again, as we mentioned, the center of Hurricane Hugo just 60 miles to the southeast of Charleston, South Carolina. Take a look at these coordinates now. 32 degrees north, 79.3 degrees west, if you are plotting this on a hurricane tracking chart. Hugo, of course, as we mentioned, very close to Charleston, South Carolina, and kind of beelining right now for the South Carolina coast as it continues to move to the northwest at 20 miles an hour. We do expect Hurricane Hugo, the center, to make landfall probably before 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, somewhere in that time frame, between midnight and 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Maximum sustained winds around the circulation are now at 135 miles per hour. This makes this a strong Category 4 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale. Check out these wind fields now around the center of the hurricane. Of course, in this darker orange color, hurricane force winds, and we already are seeing the hurricane force winds, as Bill mentioned, skirting the South Carolina coastline even as I speak. Let's take a look now at some actual wind gusts we have seen already. 51 mile per hour wind gusts around Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, 47 miles per hour, Charleston, South Carolina. As we take a look at Savannah, Georgia, the winds are gusting and have gusted so far to 41 miles per hour. Please keep in mind there is a hurricane warning in effect from the Oregon Inlet southward all the way down to Fernandina Beach. And, of course, this means that the strike probability is quite high, especially along the Carolina coast, the South Carolina coast. And we do have the hurricane watches in effect from the Oregon Inlet northward to Cape Henlopen. Well, let's check on the storm surge. The storm surge is, well, about the most dangerous part of a hurricane. And, of course, we are packing a punch with this one with a lot of very high wind, but that storm surge is what could likely do the most devastation, with the tides expected to be anywhere from 12 to 17 feet above normal. The unfortunate thing about Hurricane Hugo is it is expected to make landfall right around high tides. That would put the tide above the low mean water level, about 6.5 feet above the low mean water level. So you add the 6.5 feet possible to the 17 feet, and you have possible storm surges upwards of even 20 feet in some cases along the South Carolina coast. That is a possibility. Here's a radar now showing you quite nicely the eye of Hurricane Hugo. We'll put it into motion for you. You can see all of that rain continuing to move inland over the coast on through Columbia, South Carolina, into Charleston and Savannah. Of course, the darker blue areas indicating the heavier rain, the feeder bands around this hurricane. Speaking of rainfall, let's take a look at this graphic showing you the actual rainfall we've seen already along the Georgia and South Carolina border north of Savannah, upwards of 2 inches of rain, in many cases much more than that, and the potential for rainfall is incredible. 10 to 15 inches of rain, a possibility in some areas as Hugo continues to move inland. Of course, with a landfalling hurricane there also is that possibility of severe weather in the form of tornadoes. So we do have a tornado watch now in effect for the eastern Carolinas until 2 a.m. local time. So please keep that in mind. We'll have more coverage of Hugo as the night goes on. Again, we are expecting the center of the hurricane to make landfall along the South Carolina coast, somewhere in the vicinity of Charleston, South Carolina, within the next 3 or 4 hours, we do believe.